Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. So now we'll be focusing on this for the states for status, but let me just do a quick recap first. So we choose a platform and then we went to Icomoon or custom icon, Icomoon for iOS and custom for Android, and then we switch to camera by checking if it is in front or not. And then as we are focusing on this first launch, we moved in the status, which is idle, and then render this view, and we put up this few files. It is 6 files, and then we just went ahead and went for this idle case, which showed us this logged in, and then we put up this text field for inputting the caller ID, and this touchable opacity for clicking to call or not, and this peer-to-peer if we want either peer-to-peer or conference call, and video to go. So let me just show you for status equals to calling. So this calling text will be shown, which will then check for the status equals to calling or not, and if yes, it will be going to text for calling, and if not, it will show this text connected, and then it will show this button for status calling, where there will be defined view for toggle button for switch mute, and then it will show view for switching to the keypad or not, and then button to switch to loudspeaker, and then it will toggle this flip button for if the video has been shown or not, and then icon button for this cancel call. So let me just show you the demo. So it will be showing us this logged in as again, and this calling text, and this is our switch for mute, and keypad, and volume for loudspeaker, and for ending the call. And if it is connected, it will show this connected text. So now it has already gone into this make call and put the status as calling. Let me just put up this new view for LGIF, and it will be choosing either calling or connected as the status is in calling. So it will enter it, and in this calling section, if it is in calling, then it will show this calling text and the number, which we have already defined in make call. And if it is on calling, that is it will be connected, then this text will be shown which is connected, and then inside this there is this button where I have defined this toggle button for switch mute, and then for switch keypad, and then switch speaker, and there is flip button if we want to switch camera if the video is being shown, and then we will swing to end call the video, which will unpress go to this cancel call. So now I put up this mic muted bar and this loudspeaker bar, and then I have put some changes for this switch mute, switch keypad, switch speaker, and cancel call. So let me just show you. So in boiler, we have navigated to this toggle button for switch mute, which in case will check for if mic muted is false and set it to true, otherwise set it to false, and then set VoxImplantDelegate for set mute. And similarly for switch keypad, it will check if the state is already connected, but as the state is in calling, it will go into this else condition where it will set the status as connected. And then for this switch speaker, it will check for this loudspeaker if it is true or false, and since it is false at first, it will set it to true, else it will set it to reverse, and then STK for this use loudspeaker, and cancel call for this disconnect call. Now I need to put up some listener, just type over here for cancel call. So now I've had some few changes. So we have imported this text input, touchable and touchable opacity, where we haven't used this touchable opacity yet, but text input has been used in the previous video, but I must have missed to import it, so make sure you import it. And as we have defined toggle button, what we want to show our own style sheet, so I'll make a new toggle button and show you later on. And then I have defined this UA stance to point to this, as it won't be able to define it directly for this, and this will be taking for call connected, call failed, and call disconnected, and where this log will be for call connected and call ID, and this is yet to be defined. I will define it later. And for this add listener for call disconnected, it will just call disconnect and for this call ID. Now we have defined this flip button. So let me just show you. As it is navigating, I'll show you myself. So here is this flip button, and it will toggle only if settings underscore video is true. That is, we have turned on the switch for the toggle, that is for video. And if it is true, then this flip button will be shown, where it will ask us for this flip camera, and it will go into this switch camera option, where if it is in front, it will turn into back, and if it is in back, it will turn into front. Now, as the setting has been changed for here, where it will go into this connected state, that is this status. I'll show you next for connected. So as I said, shown for the demo app, this calling text and all for the status. This calling and connected work side by side. So for text, it will either show this text for calling the user, and if it is connected, and then for button, it will be in this status for either calling or connected state. So I have missed a small thing where I haven't defined this bar for this flip button, and I have already completed this connected and calling section for status. So there is only one way to go it. So this switch keypad will be taking this connected already, and it will check for the status, and then it will set the state for this connected keypad, and then we'll be focusing on this connected keypad. But before moving into this connected keypad, let me just build this toggle button JS, which we have imported it here. And in this toggle button, it will just set this icon and custom icons, and then it will check for the state if it is pressed or not, and set the particular state for false or true, which on press is here, and then it will set state for true or false. And in this render, it will define the style sheet, and for return, it will just put up this icon at bottom, and will toggle this on press, which is right here. And just for the styling, we'll be using this background color. And now we'll be focusing on this connected keypad. So let me just show you if this video toggle is clicked, then we will be getting this video for remote view and self view. And if you press on this call button after entering the caller ID, we will be given this flip camera option to just flip either to back or to front. And this will be this connected keypad option, where this number will take the inputs. Now, as we have just seen in our demo app, this PD panel will be run if the status isn't a connected keypad, and also connected keypad will show this button for icon for cancel button and STK disconnect, and this keypad, which will be defining as keypad.js, which will take this keypad press T and then send the DTMF to call ID and value, and then it will navigate to check if the status is connected or not, and if yes, set status is connected keypad or set status is connected. And also we will be giving this settings table for connected keypad, which will for text to hide this dot switch keypad, which will hide the keypad. Now we have made these changes for settings underscore video, and this status will check if connected keypad or not, and only show this remote view. And then we have made changes as else if in here, where it will check for the connected keypad, and keypad will be defining as this keypad for key pressed this dot underscore keypad pressed, where this will navigate to here, and then it will check for the cancel call button, and the settings table will show us this hide. So let's check it. So on this keypad pressed, so we are able to define it, and I'll define it later, as we haven't defined var keypad also. So I'll show you this button, where this cancel button will take the cancel option, And now comes the major part for switch keypad, which will either hide or show it. Now, as this switch keypad is defined, this is where it is checked. So if it's in this mode, it will choose if we need to hide it or we need to show it. Now I'll define it for this. Now we need to import this keypad, and then key pressed will be defining for this keypad pressed. So we need to import this keypad, and I've already defined this keypad.js right here. And as we have this layout for this 1, 2, 3 to hash and ABC to Z and plus, so we'll define this digit for asterisk to hash, and then this will be taking the props from as E from the boiler, and then in return we will be defining for this letters, and here comes the major part where we'll be defining for this styling for all the values. And then as it will go into this handle keypad press, this is right here, and this will be defined into this press value, which in press, out press and on long press. This is a major part if we are using it for this control service, or we are going to this control center, call center. So now as the keypad has been pressed, this console log will send a DTMF for the current call ID for the particular value which has been pressed. Now this all has been working in this calling state, but what if we go into this connected state? So let me just show you. So we have put up this listener where we have for the call connected and call disconnected. Call field we will be working on later. So if we have call connected, then this dot call connected will put up this call ID, and otherwise this dot call disconnected will pull up this ID. And so we'll check for the file. So if it is a connected state, then only the status will be in connected, and if it is in disconnected state, the call ID, all if this will be switched off, and then the STK will also put up this file and set the state to idle, and then call this close modal, which will set it to true, and this close modal will check if this state is in inbound call, where inbound call is if we are not the caller but we are the receiver, which we haven't worked on. So it will take this true value, and force is true, so it will set this modal open to false and status to idle. And now we'll be working on this modal, which we haven't defined here, which will be working if we are on the receiver side. So we have put up this modal, which is visible when is modal open is in true state. So it will show this touchable highlight, which on press will toggle this close modal. So let's go to definition, where close modal will check if it is not inbound call, and check it and set the status to idle. Otherwise it will show this view where it will be showing this modal buttons, which I have defined just above. So if this state is in inbound call, now to reach this inbound call, we'll be putting this device into listener state, which I have defined it here for incoming call. So it will put this add listener and show this current caller ID as incoming call ID, which we'll be getting from here, and set this set modal text to inbound call from here. And I'm yet to define this set modal text. So let me just show you how it's done. And in this, if this state has been reached, then this modal buttons will show either to answer the call or reject the call, which will put in option for as on press, which will take this answer call or reject call, which I will be defining right now. So we have made changes for this device listener for incoming call, which will set modal text for inbound call from the incoming call ID, and I have defined this modal text to put this inbound call from. And then set modal text will take this text and status and check for the update, and modal text will take the text file, and then the status will check, and unless it is undefined, the status will be changed into the particular status which are faced from this, and then it will set this is modal open to true. And now we have to define this modal buttons for this styling, and then in this modal buttons to check for the state as inbound call, which we have got from this set state right here and right here, set modal text, and then we'll go into this modal buttons, and this modal buttons will choose for this answer call and reject call, which we have defined just right here for answer call. It will check, put this STK to answer call or to decline call, and close modal as true, and close modal will check for the if it is not in inbound call and force is equals to true, and put the status to idle or not. Now in final state we will be looking to this call failed option as add listener, and if we reach this call failed section, it will send this set modal text as call failed and idle. And let's navigate to set modal text. So set modal text is right here. It will take this call failed and idle, and then it will put this modal text as call failed here, and status will be checked if it is in undefined, otherwise the status will put as register status which is idle and is modal open to true, and then it will navigate to idle state. Now as we have defined this send video in disconnect, like right here, we haven't defined it, so just don't forget to define it so that the videos for send video can be turned off and set to set idle. And that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.